Bartolome Jankowski. Eagle wings. Just a second. Father Alfredo wrote that the relic was protected by eagle wings. That was the name of the man I was looking for. One of the holders of the scroll pieces. So Father Alfredo rested in the church ossuary, along with the knights he deemed worthy. I also learned that a fragment of the scroll was entrusted to a particular knight nicknamed Eagle Wings. I no longer doubted it. The scroll piece had to be in the ossuary, specifically in the tomb of that knight. I look for Bartolome Jankowski among the names. There he was, the knight who was called Eagle Wings, to whom Father Alfredo entrusted the custody of the scroll, even in the afterlife. But now, how could I open that niche? It wasn't just walled, but further protected by a thick steel sheet attached with some rivets. It wasn't possible to remove them by hand. To open the lid, the side rivets would need to disappear. Hey, Oliviero. I could be just a step away from one of the scroll pieces. I'm sure it's in the ossuary of the Church of St. Francis in Verna.
Oh, gross, Lazaro. Do you really want to desecrate a grave full of centuries-old rotten bones?
I'm not particularly excited about it, but it's what I have to do. The problem is that the niche is protected by thick steel plates, tightened with rivets.
I could synthesize a mild acid. Unfortunately, I don't have any fluorocarbon. I can order some from my supplier, but it will take time.
Of course. Can I get it for you some other way?
Fluorocarbon is found in firefighting agents, cooling liquids, additives for motor oil, and even some varnishes. Watch how you extract it, though. Fluorocarbon can be harmful to human beings.
Where did you say I could get some fluorocarbon?
Fluorocarbon is found in firefighting agents, cooling liquids, additives for motor oil, and even some varnishes. Watch how you extract it, though. Fluorocarbon can be harmful to human beings.
See you later. I wonder if the fire was hot enough to melt the tire. Perfectly insulated. Part of the tire had been liquefied, forming a boiling pool. Better think about it. I could move it to reach the highest shelves, assuming I really needed to do that. Olive told me that the fluorocarbon was used as a cooling liquid. From under there, though, I couldn't reach the air conditioner. The library was well stocked with classics and ancient architecture books, but I couldn't see anything that would be of any interest. It wasn't moving an inch. Maybe it hadn't been used for a long time. Well, that bomb was viscous enough to lube the wheels. The ladder still refused to move. Now it was time to set aside my elaborate ploys and use a good dose of healthy brute force.
How impetuous. There must be a very interesting book on the upper shelves.
Of course. With the syringe, I could extract some fluorocarbon from the air conditioner.
You're very ebullient. I had never seen anyone inject an air conditioner.
Here's your fluorocarbon.
You really managed to find some. You're a wizard. Do you have a suitable container?
Will this sprayer do?
Double glass, central straw, and metal alloy. Right. I can produce an acid that won't corrode it. Give me a few minutes. It's a delicate process. Here we are. A really powerful acid. Be careful. It's very corrosive.
I've kept worse things in my pockets. That marble slab was all that separated me from one of the scroll fragments. Or at least, that's what I hoped. I found myself face to face with he who was the guardian of the scroll for the last 2 centuries. Apart from the skull, his remains were kept under a shroud depicting a rose over a cross. I was sure that symbol was directing me to something. I could finally get out of that nightmarish place, but not before recovering my tracking bracelet. I had one piece of the scroll, and the next was waiting for me inside Castle Sancti Leonis. I just needed one more.
What's wrong with you? I should put you in the slammer right now.
You're burning my retinas.
Sorry, I got lost in the role of the bad cop a bit too much. Anyway, this time, I'll make an exception.
That was a very naughty idea. That's why I liked it. The balm dried instantly, becoming invisible at a quick glance. Hey, look what I have for you.
Are they for me?
Of course, I'm a fervent supporter of workers' rights.
Heavenly days! Thanks a lot.
Albert! Now I'm really sick and tired of you.
Everything fine, dude? Wait, I'll give you a hand.
You think I don't understand that all this has something to do with you?
If I'm not mistaken, I just helped you. I thought...
That would end up being friends? Wait, I'll call Albert too, so we can sit in a circle and sing Kumbaya.
All right, never mind. I have to admit, Lake was smart, but not enough to stop me, since I had strategically pulled off his spare key. Albert claimed that it was rarely used, so I doubted I would be caught. Perfect. Once I found the security code too, I could enter the closed-off section.
Mr. Bundy, how can I help you?
The scenery is really breathtaking.
Isn't it? Admire the wonder.
I leafed through the pages, which revealed themselves to be nothing more than a sort of personal record of Beringler. Inside it, as I hoped, was the code I was looking for. 8154. You have to excuse me now.
Come back whenever you like.
So I recovered the key for the castle and the security code for the closed-off section. I'd wait till the evening before sneaking in. I had 2 pieces of the scroll in my pocket, and the third was waiting for me inside Castle Sancti Leonis. All I had to do was wait for night and sneak in. I was just a step away from the last piece of the scroll. It'd be impossible to open the gate without its key. I was finally in the private area, just steps away from the last piece of scroll. Eerie. They had installed some artificial lights, but they came and went continuously. I hope they lasted. I didn't want to find myself in the dark all alone. An ancient battered cannon, surely out of commission. That opening reached the surface, letting a feeble natural light seep through. A soft artificial light came from the hatch, luckily, because otherwise I'd have to grope blindly to move. The door had been unhinged from that walled access at the bottom of the room. The brush for the cannon was long and sturdy. If it was telescopic, I would have put it in my pocket. The access was walled over a very long time ago, at least judging by its appearance. I couldn't explain why, but in the vicinity of that wall I could sense something. My scarf was moving, as if blown by an air draft. Judging by the direction in which it was waving, the gust of wind seemed to emanate from the walled access. But how was that possible? The brush for the cannon was long and sturdy. If it was telescopic, I would have put it in my pocket. I touched the wall, searching for the origin of the draft. And here's the mystery explained. A part of the wall had only been roughly constructed. The passage continued downward, disappearing into total darkness. How much deeper did that place go?
Isn't it fascinating?
Oh, good. It's been a while since someone pointed a gun at me.
I must have underestimated you, Bundy. Radwed warned me to watch out for you. Evidently he has more faith in your abilities than I did. Yeah, faith. I want to offer you a confession. I never had much. All that talk of roses and crosses bores me.
What's this rose you all keep talking about?
Useless pseudo-religious fetishes. They're nothing more than fanatics busy killing each other in the name of oaths as ancient as the world. I'm only interested in power, and you got in the way once too often.
It's not the first time I've heard that, and it won't be the last either.
Aren't you curious to know what happened in here?
I see you're anxious to tell me, so why not?
We've been keeping an eye on San Leo for a long time, but we never managed to get to the bottom of its mysteries. Ben de Vilta discovered this section almost by chance. Radwed immediately sensed what it was about, and was able to sneak me in by manipulating the marquee like a puppet. The piece of scroll was right there in that gallery behind you. an ancient conduit used as an escape route, now forgotten and buried under tons of debris.
The ideal place to hide a treasure map.
A part, at least. But you already know that, right? You found the remaining pieces for us, just like Radwood expected.
Unfortunately for you, I didn't bring them with me.
Now it's you who's underestimating us. If they're not here with you, then we already know where to find what we need. The bartender is harmless, while the Polish woman could be a problem, but I'll take care of that later.
The narrow and tortuous path was preventing Beringler from sprinting fast enough to increase his distance from me, but soon we'd reach a wider road. I had to hurry. Although I was pedaling to the best of my ability, I couldn't reach the car. Then, the epiphany. The new propulsion system I had installed after the chase with Radwood in Miami. By pedaling fast enough, it would be activated, giving me a nice boost forward. I prepared for the leap forward. I wish that old hag Gwendolyn Pratt was there to film that moment of glory. Guys, it was one of the most spectacular falls of my life. I'm lucky I didn't break anything. The bush was providential.
Are you sure that Beringler...
I made sure of his condition, and I even made an anonymous call for an ambulance. Luckily, he wasn't running very fast, given the kind of road we were on.
You're a pair of pussies. If it didn't happen that way, I'd have broken a few of his bones personally.
Have you recovered all the scroll pieces? You even attached them! Is that the lost seal of Cagliostro the doctor was talking about?
I don't think so. Maybe this scroll is what we need to find the seal.
I hate snakes.
We have to inspect it from top to bottom.
The arrow pierces the snake from side to side.
It could indicate a direction, no?
I think so. Well, let's keep it in mind.
A snake that bites an apple pierced by a golden arrow.
You're starting to get into it, Tech?
No. It's just that I mistrust snakes. Animals as sneaky and dangerous as they are fascinating.
Huh. Maybe it's the power of suggestion, but it seems to resemble the symbol of the dollar.
You're right. How curious.
The snake that bites the apple could be a reference to Genesis.
I wonder how people can believe that a woman was created from the rib of a man. You two combined don't even have half my backbone.
The story of Adam and Eve is a metaphor to teach mankind to be patient and not defy the divine laws without reason.
What do you know about that stuff?
I took a basic theology course as an elective. And to think I chose it only to get 6 easy credits.
So the apple would symbolize a beginning, but a beginning of what? What's that writing on the right?
Polish poetry. What are we, the book club?
There must be a reason it's here. Tech, read and translate.
Spying from the highest sky. Peepers.
Be serious.
The soldiers observed something or someone then.
Thanks to the silent indications of the Count.
How can indications be silent? And how could the Count give them indications if he was dead?
He was dead, but he left something behind. The scroll.
So the soldiers used the seal of Cagliostro as directions? Makes sense.
We left the flame-covered safe haven.
Oh, this is strange. How can a haven be safe but simultaneously covered in flames?
I can't think of anything.
Under the threat of the roar of bricks. The roar. The beast.
Let's hope not. You searched for that animal for months without finding any trace.
You're overlooking the most interesting detail. Why a roar of bricks? Good. We must have analyzed everything.
I think so too. But what should we do with these clues?
In my opinion, they are encrypted geographical references. A sort of scavenger hunt.
So we just need to examine a map and...
No, wait. I doubt the Polish soldiers had a satellite map of the area. At best, an unreliable chart. And then there's that opening line, spying from the highest sky. I think I get what it means. The Polish soldiers found an elevated place, a place from which it was possible to study the landscape.
Highest sky, an elevated place.
Look at them talking about conspiracies and investigations. They almost look like grown-ups.
All right, we need a high place, a place that the Polish soldiers might have used at the time. And I think I know the right one. The Civic Tower of San Leo.
High is high, and it dates back well before the arrival of the Count in San Leo. The problem is we can't enter. Only rarely is it open to the public. Unless...
I was thinking the exact same thing.
What are you looking at, you bump on a log?
Well, we have a complete overview of all the points of interest in our surroundings.
We're admiring the same sights the soldiers who recovered Cagliostro cast their eyes on. Isn't it fascinating?
Very. But now, let's focus. We must find the 3 references we came here for. The roar of bricks, the snake, and the flame-covered safe haven. Under the threat of the roar of bricks. I'm not surprised by the roar. We're still in San Leo, the city of St. Leo. What can you tell me about that?
The Sant Inye convent. Well, it's old. It's Franciscan. What else?
I don't know. Does the name have any particular meaning?
Now that you mention it, yes. I once read that the name was originally Sant Enya, and only later renamed Sant Inye, the Latin word for fire, because of an alleged luminous apparition that appeared in the 16th century. Sant Inye can in fact be translated as sacred fire.
So the name of the convent is Sacred Fire. Well, that's it. It must be one of the clues to the symbol. Okay, we have a reference point, but we need another if we want to find a direction. That's Castle Sancti Leonis, historic residence of the De Vilta family. The roar could refer to St. Leo.
I know what you're thinking here. Castle Sancti Leonis. The Castle of St. Leo.
It would make sense to describe it as a threat, considering that the Polish knights were chased away by the De Vilta family. And now we found 2 reference points.
If we link them, we might get a direction.
We're doing well, but we still need other references.
Right. For now, we just have a generic direction. We can't fully inspect anything.
What's that building?
That's the parish of St. Severino.
St. Severino. Who was he?
If I recall correctly, he was an abbot famous for having evangelized a territory that corresponds with present-day Austria.
Austria. I can't find any connection. I wonder if that cross...
That's the cemetery, Lazaro. I doubt we'll find any clues there.
You'd be amazed where certain secrets are kept hidden. What can you tell me about that lake?
Nothing much. It's an artificial modern lake.
I definitely rule it out then. I noticed that arch coming into town.
It's Porta Sopra, famous for its inscription with the passage from Purgatory in which Dante quoted San Leo. One climbs San Leo and descends in Nali. And then I don't remember anymore. I never understood how people managed to recite the Commedia from memory.
The fortress of San Leo, which stands imposing in the valley below. Square Dante Alighieri, the writer of the Decameron.
It was a joke, right?
Well, I must say I'm not especially knowledgeable about literature.
Alighieri is famous for the comedy, you ignoramus.
You mean the Divine Comedy?
Wrong. It was Boccaccio who added the divine to the original title.
See how everything comes back?
You're hopeless. The one close to the fortress is Cagliostro's well.
Where does the name come from?
They laid down the Count's body there while they were carrying it to the burial ground. Even today, people leave flowers there from time to time.
The Palazzo Medicio, if I have correctly interpreted the brochure Gaia gave me. I don't think it has anything to do with our research. What's that?
Oh, yes, the Fount of St. Leo. They say it's from the Roman era, and that it was originally used to carry water to the mill in the northern district.
I don't see any mill.
Indeed. It's gone. Oh, I almost forgot. In front of the fountain is a statue of St. Leo in copperfoil.
The panorama is remarkable from up here, right?
Breathtaking. And to think that all these years I was never able to climb the bell tower.
Bell tower?
Yes, a few locals call it that.
That mountain over there. Can you tell me anything about it?
Mount Gregorio, a very popular place among hikers.
Hiking. Get thee behind me. No more climbing for today. That road has a peculiar shape. Olive, maybe I'm deluding myself. Look at that road and tell me if it reminds you of anything.
Hell, you're right! It's the snake!
But the clue couldn't possibly refer to the whole road. Let's check it out more carefully. Look at that circle of trees in relation to the head of the snake.
It looks deliberate. Of course. It corresponds with the apple on the seal of Cagliostro.
So, if that's the apple, we can draw the arrow that pierces the snake. That's it. That's the spot where the two reference points meet.
We really did it, Lazaro. We found it.
Don't get your hopes up yet, though. We could have made a mistake.
There's only one way to find out.
I wonder how many times I've flown over this area without knowing.
Come on, Lars. You're always last.
I'd like to see you climb with all this junk in your buckets. And, by the way, Olive?
Have you seen anything useful?
Actually, I wanted to tell you that Tekla gave me the orchid back, if you want it.
Still on that? We could be on the verge of bringing a treasure of priceless value to light, and you're thinking about a flower?
You know, I was just like you when I was younger. I wanted to be a big detective, conquer the world, leave a mark. But lately I've come to realize that you can also be happy settling for the little things, while there's still time.
I don't want to settle. I want to become someone. You guys, look here instead.
These carvings go deep inside the cortex. They must be very ancient.
Don't you understand what they represent?
We found the apple. In that moment, I realized I'd already seen that symbol. It was the mark the doctor traced at the Mulzberg residence, at the beginning of everything, the Genesis. This means that down here,
Right under our feet.
There's an old moldy mummy that can't wait to stretch its legs.
just how you like it, Tech. Maybe we should have brought your father.
How many times do I have to say this? My father is not a...
Guys, which two of you is starving? I can hear the rumbling of your stomach from here.
That's not our stomach, idiots. On the ground. I'll take care of it.
Don't shoot, Tekla. You can make it even madder, putting Olive in serious danger.
Interesting reaction.
Have you got any ideas for getting out of this situation?
I'm afraid normal hunting techniques won't work with this monster. We need to observe its behavior, study it for a while, and find its weak spots.
I noticed that it never takes its eyes off of me.
It must be attracted to bright colors. Maybe it's your scarf that draws its attention.
My scarf, huh? I'll keep that in mind. I'll try to figure something out. If it wasn't for that rock, I would have been found out in the open, a victim of that growling monster. Tekla, I have an idea. As soon as the beast is distracted, runs towards Olive and get him to shelter.
Whenever you're ready, cretin.
Olive was finally safe. One step at a time, and we might make it.
Curious.
What are you talking about?
Why doesn't the beast charge you? It was distracted by Oliviero before. But now?
I guess its aim isn't so much to hurt us as to protect something.
A guard animal. The behavior matches. It doesn't want to be led away from the area it has to protect, but it attacks as soon as someone steps on it.
This leads us to two conclusions. The first is that we're in the right spot, and what we're looking for is right at the foot of the oak. Well, the second is very worrying. We have to get rid of that beast if we want to dig. Tech, shoot a tranquilizer.
It could be dangerous. Are you sure?
We've got to try, or we'll never get away from this cliff alive. It looks even more furious than before.
After a shot with this narcotic? No. It should have felt this one. Big time. Enough to slow it down, at least.
That's something. But now you have to take Olive and get him out of here.
Can you handle things alone?
Defeating a raging monster with a scarf. Ah, it's a piece of cake for Lazarus Bundy.
I have to admit, Cretin, I underestimated you.
Alone again to face death. After all, I've carried it inside me for months now, and I've grown accustomed to the feeling. Despite the dose of tranquilizer and the headbutt, the monster was still standing. Could the syringe have been useful to inject something into the acorn? The needle couldn't penetrate the acorn. The needle couldn't penetrate. The needle couldn't penetrate the acorn. It was the last remaining acorn, and I would have to use it wisely. Better think about it. Inside that maybe. Sometimes. That was a really great plan. It was my last chance to knock that animal out. There were moments of agonizing waiting. I saw the helicopter vanishing in the distance, in the direction of San Leo. Surely Olive would be fine. I couldn't say the same for me. The beast seemed determined to charge, and yet it resisted. Maybe after the previous blow it had learned to fear me.
Hey, Cretin, would you ever have believed that forgetting a shovel would save your life?
I got rid of that beast in an almost miraculous way. Still amped on adrenaline, I started digging the ground at the foot of the marked tree. And finally, right before my eyes was the coffin where Count Cagliostro had rested for centuries. The weight of history crushed me like an insect. A bit intimidated by what I might find inside the coffin, I tried to move the lid. There was no trace of Cagliostro's body. Centuries had passed, but not so many to justify the absence of any remains. After the initial shock, I noticed another detail. The coffin was completely made of gold. As soon as I picked up the bracelet, the wood on which it had rested for centuries started to react. I'd witnessed plenty of strange things in those days, but this time I was speechless. What kind of power did that tiny object possess? Did it turn everything it touched into wood? While I prayed not to end up like Pinocchio, I was warned by my sixth sense. I felt that there was something else to find inside that coffin. I carefully looked at the wall, but I didn't find anything useful. To the touch, I thought I felt a tiny crack. It was too regular to be random. I had never figured out what the second key someone made me find in Miami was for. Was it possible that all that time I'd gone walkabout with a centuries-old heirloom in my pocket? The secret alcove was hiding a medallion with an engraved symbol that resembled a pentacle. I'd seen many of them at crime scenes, but that medallion was slightly different. Plus, it emitted strange vibrations, similar to those of a mirror found on the Site Relique. Whatever its meaning, that was the object I needed to find.
I must ask you to turn around without making any sudden moves, please.
Father Carlo! I can't believe it. So you were involved in all this as well?
Please, don't blame me for this. I have been forced to do everything they ordered me to do. Do you think I'm proud of my actions? That I'm glad to have contributed to the murders of poor innocent souls? I had to deny my faith.
Then why? You could refuse to cooperate.
My sister Marie keeps Professor Visconti under control for them through the use of drugs and infusions. But they keep an eye on her in the meantime as well. If I backed out of this, they would have killed her after inflicting unspeakable torture. They're masters of mental manipulation, and I...
You're a perfect example of that. I bet you weren't so confused before.
I must not waste time. You have to give me what you discovered inside Cagliostro's coffin. Right now.
I understand. At this point, I don't think I have any other choice. Why do they want this bracelet? What are they trying to do?
The bracelet is able to stop their plans, and they don't want the risk. They desperately looked for it for centuries, slowed down by the disappearance of the scrolls, and that filthy beast left as guard by the Polish soldiers.
It could stop their plans. So there's a hope. You gotta help me. Together we...
You still don't understand. They're in my head, constantly talking, sneaking in thoughts that are not mine. I can hear them even now. Shoot, Carlo. Shoot now. Shoot! I'm sorry.
When I woke up, I instantly recognized where I was. Carlo left me for dead, rotting inside Cagliostro's coffin. The next thought was that I was still alive. I clearly heard the bullet whistling past my ear, missing me by only a few inches. After all, Carlo certainly wasn't a trained killer, and he didn't realize I was knocked unconscious by the hit on my head, not by the shot. My first instinct was to start shouting like crazy, but the little air I had left was too precious to waste like that. The shortage of oxygen was also the reason I couldn't wait for Tekla to come back. I had to move. Carlo must have replaced the old time-worn nails with some brand new ones. The lid didn't move an inch. Pressing it firmly, the compartment snapped closed. Was it really worth it? It was the empty alcove where I found that strange medallion. Pressing it firmly, the compartment snapped closed. That was a really good idea. My hope suffered a tough blow. The spray bottle spewed only air, and not the liquid squirt I expected. I looked at the device and realized what the problem was. I was forced to use it at a very specific angle inside the coffin. and the straw wasn't able to catch the few drops of fluid remaining. I tried every possible position, but was too restricted in my movements. The magnet wasn't powerful enough to move the straw from the outside, and it was too big to fit into the container. Father Carlo had ensured it was my get-out-of-jail-free card from that suffocating prison. Air. Oh, I can't believe it. Did I really get out of that hole unharmed?
After all the obstacles you've overcome, you still doubt your skills?
How did you find me?
It wasn't him who found you.
All right. Now I'm even more confused than ever.
I told you I would go to Rome, and I must say, I got there just in time.
I already thanked you for saving me, but now we demand some answers.
What is your actual role? And why did you drag me into this madness?
My role is to ensure that events follow the established course, as predicted by the Grand Master of the order to which I belong.
A cult of fanatics.
Galilei, Bach, Da Vinci, Shakespeare, Newton, and many others. Do you really want to define them as fanatics?
How should we define them, then?
Brothers, appointed to remove the veil of ignorance from the eyes of fools, to push society towards progress, transmuting this world from vile lead to noble gold. United under the symbol of the rose and the cross.
The rose and the cross again. I'd come across them many times during my investigation, and now that I think about it, Duke Ravendish's company was renamed Fallen Rose.
The Ravendish family has always belonged to us, but the Duke was lost. You contributed to bringing him back to us, to his rightful place. The Fallen Rose, or more accurately, the Rosa Difecta, is nothing more than an abomination, founded by Radwed after he betrayed his faith against us. A twin cult that shares the same ideals, but which, in fact, promotes only self-interest rather than the good of humankind. For centuries, they've been searching for Cagliostro. Fortunately, the Count's grave was discovered by our adepts, the Polish soldiers you tracked down. Radwed and his men hunted and exterminated them, but the scrolls were already safe, hidden, until now.
Wait, are you actually telling me that Radwed was already alive in 1795?
He went by the name Edward at the time. Now show me the lost seal.
That is the Sigillum Emeth!
The last still active seal, created by the Grand Master Cagliostro, before he was framed by the conspiracy of the Inquisition and that fraud Balsamo. The only defense you'll have against Radwed and his Hand of Glory.
An artifact with unlimited power, used in the past to unleash the fury of the seas and destroy an entire fleet, the Invincible Armada.
Dee realized he had raised forces he couldn't control and destroyed it. But just think what an individual like Radwed might engineer in possession of such power.
I still don't understand how the baby's kidnapping fits into all this.
We were sure Radwed would use the flesh of the unborn, ripped from the suffering mother, to produce the Hand of Glory. But he must have found another way.
I read that the hand can also be created using the fat of a hanged man who died in hatred.
Mulzberg oozed hate from every pore. The little dots are starting to connect, but there's something else. In Cagliostro's coffin, I found a golden bracelet shaped like a snake. Now, Carlo knew about its existence, and he demanded me to give it to him.
Cagliostro was the bearer of our initiation secrets, and he knew that sooner or later someone would try to bring back the Hand of Glory. Consequently, he created the sigillium as a shield, and the bracelet as a sword.
Are you saying the bracelet is capable of blocking the hand's powers?
That's why the wood of the coffin turned to gold when I removed the bracelet. The ornament had blocked the transformation process. Well, Perfect.
What? You just said you had to turn it over to Father Carlo.
I threw him a bracelet. The same one used by Alice to track me down and bring you here, I suppose.
The tracking bracelet.
That thing had been eroded by brackish water, traveled halfway around the world, and it even spent a few hours tied to the tailpipe of a vintage car. It looked like an antique piece at that point. The fact that Carlo isn't exactly a smart guy helped as well.
Surprising. Really surprising. I knew I'd chosen well.
Chosen? For what?
Every master is obliged to personally select the new members of the Order. You're bright, resolute, and at your best, you'd be a valid ally.
But above all, I'm blackmailable.
What are you talking about?
You can't deny you felt very good after you inhaled my gas. Stronger, more vigorous, your lungs saturated with clean air.
Wait, you...
I can make this effect permanent. My initiation gift to you, if you'll choose to join us.
Lars.
Alice, you said the doctor saved you in Rome. How?
He claims that Marie wanted to kill me overnight, so...
So he put her to rest. And that's not all. You knew where Kathrin and the kid were from the beginning. You delivered the picture that led us to Radwood's factory and gave me the clues to solve the map on the Site Lalique. You knew everything. And yet you preferred pursuing this crazy quest rather than stopping Radwood.
Radwood is not an enemy we can face alone. He
knows all your dirty tricks.
I'd like you to reflect well before refusing such an offer. I won't give you a second chance.
Lars, if he can really...
Let's go, Alice.
So be it. May the rose and the cross guide the last actions you'll take in your existence.
Little things, right? See you soon, Lazaro.
Oh, here you are, finally.
Apologies. I went to freshen up and change my clothes.
But you've always worn the same clothes since this whole story started.
Do you think it was easy to find a short-sleeve coat with a hole for letting the scarf pass through? I had to order a supply of them. Besides, you also... nothing. You look nice, you know?
Anyway, I have bad news. Radwood and his men must have discovered your deception and disabled the tracking bracelet. We know they reached West Rotfield, then nothing.
So, are we stuck?
Not really. Do you remember the doctor's references to the rose and the cross? I started researching the territory using the two terms as keywords, and I almost immediately got feedback. Of course, the source is not exactly reliable. We're talking about conspiracy websites.
Are you referring to Wheelo's blog?
No, a guy named Rupert Saucer, the classic zealot who lives in a trailer isolated from the world. I would usually rule out such a result, but in this case, Saucer claims that in an exclusive local cemetery, the King Lyrie, an ancient Rosicrucian temple, is hidden.
Rosicrucian? Is that the name of the doctor's sect?
The information I found refers to a group of enlightened intellectuals of which very little is known. Guess who's listed among the alleged Grand Masters of the Order, though?
Count Cagliostro.
As you would say, bingo.
We'll have time later to investigate the Rosicrucian further, but for now we have to inspect the King Lyrie.
Wait. I think you should keep this.
The scrying mirror. Are you sure?
I don't feel like walking around with some cursed ancient artifact in my pocket. And now let's go.
And so that was the place where it would all end. Maybe miss the brackish air of Miami, or the shining sun of San Leo. Well, let's take a look.